just bear with me. Yeah, my name is Eddie Edwards. I wanted to come here and share some information. That's where I spent 20 years. Anybody ever been to Detroit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hard Knock Life? East side, west side? Okay, that's right. I just wanted to come in and share some information with you in hopes of keeping you out of trouble, giving you the tools that you need to keep you on track. I know we have some issues at this time now, but hey, what I'm here to do, like I said, is give you a template on hopefully keeping you out of trouble and just making good decisions. Like I said, that's where I was for 20 years. Actually, I'm from Grand Rapids, but I lived in Detroit for 25. So I'm back home. I put together a program that I just want to share with you guys. While working with Detroit, I worked major crimes. I was a detective for SVU. Anybody ever watch SVU?
Special victims.
Yeah, special victims. So we don't deal with anything less than murder. That's what we dealt with. I was a part of the warrant apprehension team, the arrest team. So from A to Z, we'll get the warrant, we'll go out and we'll find you. Violent crimes was homicide. Like I said, everything else was major crimes. Yeah, I seen some crazy stuff. So that's why I'm here today. So if I can share with you what I've been through and what I've seen, then hopefully it'll keep you out of trouble as well. I've done about a year down in juvenile in Georgia. I was playing that in a minute, yeah. And just some adult correction, probation, parole. So when it comes to criminal justice as a whole, from A to Z, I've been through a lot of it. Some of the things I want to share with you today, what I comprised is a lot of crimes that youth commit. On top of crimes, I want to talk about Jewel, what not to snitch does to a community, drugs and alcohol, and I call it the 85%, and I'll explain that towards the end. These are some of the common crimes that youth commit. So we're going to talk about those and hopefully give you a little insight. I called my program here Consequences. You know, one thing about it is when you react and do things that cause you to get in trouble and deal with the system, you don't realize and understand what the consequences are. Consequences to me is concentrating on navigating through situations effectively and to quickly understand expectations necessary to create easy solutions. And what that is just making good choices. You know, when you're up dealing with a situation, you know, just processing, going through it, and making the right decisions. Here's another acronym for consequence. Anything different about that? Anything stand out about all the words?
Oh.
What's the opposite of all the words on the right? What's on the left? You make the difference. You're your own consequence. Whatever situation you're in, no matter who you're with, it's up to you to make that decision. And I'm going to give you the tools in hopes of keeping you out of trouble. For me, it's like, how do I create better brothers? You know, how do I create people that want to work in the community, do the best they can, be fathers, be husbands, be wives, and just be productive pillars in the community. I call it the 4 P's. First, you have to process. Any situation you're in, process it. A lot of us as youngsters and as adults, we get in trouble when we don't process the scenario. Take your time, process it, understand what you're getting into. Second is be patient. When we react and don't think about the process, that's when we get caught up. We're not patient. We're not thinking about what can turn out, what can happen. When you do decide to finally make that action, make sure it's positive. What's the positivity out of that action that you're going to receive? And then perseverance, get through it. So the 4 P's, process, patience, positivity, and perseverance. You'll hear that throughout the process or throughout the presentation. And that's something I want to get in your head as far as every situation, even good ones. Anything when you make a decision, you want to process, patience, what's the positive outcome, and then perseverance. I call this the pre-protest pledge. When you protest, what is that? Anybody ever been in a protest? No. Anybody ever done any marches or anything? No. Well, protest is after the fact. I'm trying to give you the information before. to keep you out of trouble, to keep us from doing this. What about criminal justice reform? Anybody ever heard and seen what they're trying to do with that? They're trying to come up with better ways of giving you more opportunity while you're incarcerated. Prison reform, giving you a lighter sentence, working with your own sentences so you can come home. Juvenile reform, expungement, so after you get out, if you get in trouble in due time, they're working on reforms to help better you when you get out here. But one thing about the reform, it's all after. It's after you get in trouble. There's nothing before. So here I am trying to give you the information before the reformation. And that's with the 4 P's. Now I'm going to get into some of the crimes. What I'm going to do, I'm going to define the crimes. And some of you might know some of this, but just give you a definition and the consequences to those crimes. What I have here, I couldn't really do it, but it's a makeshift cell block. So I talk to kids all over. Just yesterday I was in Detroit. And, for some of y'all that haven't seen or dealt with a cell block, that's it. And I forgot my toilet seat. Usually I put a toilet seat right in the chair. But with anything you do, this is where you wind up when you get in trouble. And a lot of us glorify that in the community. But actual this is it. Ain't no glory to none of this. So theft. Anybody know what theft is? Pretty much? Yeah, stealing. Stealing somebody's property that belongs to somebody else. Another person, a business, money, receipts, goods, electronics, what have you. If it don't belong to you, you take it as theft. There are 3 degrees of theft and larceny. Anybody ever heard of retail fraud, 3rd degree? 200 or less, misdemeanor. Can be up to 93 days in jail, and actually a $500 fine times 3. So if you steal something for $100, more likely it's going to be times 3. And if you can't pay it, who's going to be obligated to pay it? Your parents. So on top of you not thinking and processing and committing that crime, it's not going to affect just you, it's going to affect your family as well. A lot of y'all don't look at that. So just keep that in mind, and probation as well. Second degree is between 200 and 1,000. It's a felony. And once again, 3 times. Jail, probation, and fees. First degree, anything over $1,000. And let's say if you steal something that's valued presently, let's say it's $50. You can go get it for $50, but the original value, if it was $1,000 or more, and that's where some people get caught up. Well, it was only $20, but the court, the system goes by the original price. What it cost when it came out. So if it was something that you could have got for $50 and you wind up stealing it, it was valued at $1,000, that's a felony. If it's valued at $500, that's a high misdemeanor. And then it's 3 times that. So what you might steal that you could probably pay for $50 or maybe even $100 will be the actual value of what it was times 3. So keep that in mind. Other crimes of theft, larceny in the building, UTA. In Detroit, we used to call stealing a car UTA. Unauthorized driving away auto. That's what we used to call UTA. We used to call carjacking RA UTA. Now I'll talk a little bit about that. But smash and grab. Since I've been back in Grand Rapids, I've seen on the news recently where we had a couple smash and grabs at the gun shops. Everybody seen that on the news?
Don't look at me. No, that's not okay.
That's that Piaget right there.
I'm not here to ruffle no feathers, but I would like to share a story about that. Everybody's looking at time. 2018. Back in Detroit, I think it was maybe 3 years ago. Young guys, they go in, they smash and grab, and hopefully you get the concept of this. They go in, they smash and grab. They get probably about 15, 20 guns, maybe 10, 15. And what happens is, when they go in and steal those weapons, they wind up selling those weapons right back into their community. Young man that went in and stole them, a year later, got shot and killed, and the same gun that he had stole was the one that took him out. You know, when you don't process this, when you go in a gun shop, okay, I'm gonna steal guns, no matter what community you live in, more likely those guns are gonna filtrate back into that community. It's very rare that we'll steal guns in the hood and we'll go out in the suburbs and sell them. You don't have contacts like that, so they're coming right back in the community. Another incident, a guy, I don't know, maybe a few years ago, went in and stole some guns. He had a buyer. A lot of young guys don't have buyers. They just go steal them and then be on YouTube showing them off and all that, but he had an actual buyer. So what happened was we linked up with the buyer, or he links up with the buyer, and the buyer winds up killing him with the own guns he stole. Well, how do I know these will work? Okay, well here, I got bullets, go ahead, fire it up, boom. He killed him and take all the guns that he had. So just be mindful of, you know, when you get into stuff like this. Larceny by trick, somebody tricking you out of your property. Hey man, let me wear them shoes with the intent of not giving them back. That's what happens when you think you have so-called friends around here. Conversion. Anybody know what RNC is? RNC, receiving and concealing?
Yeah.
Stolen property? And that's when you know the property is stolen. If there's a legitimate reason that you know the property is not stolen, there's a good chance you can get off. But more than likely, if you got something that's worth some money and you only paid $10 or holding on to it for somebody, we're gonna come after you. We're gonna charge you with RNC. Home invasion. I just seen my daughter. She just sent me a home invasion of a rapper. What's his name? That just got killed from a home invasion. Pop. Anybody ever heard of Pop Smoke? Smoke Pop.
That make it sound like some popcorn.
Yeah, well, I never heard of him, but it was on TMZ. She had sent me the actual the link today. But home invasion, the breaking and entering of somebody's dwelling. Home invasion 1 is somebody's home. So if you break in somebody's house in their home, that's home invasion 1. Okay? Home invasion 2 is when nobody's home. Home invasion 3 is deals with a restraining order, PPO against somebody. So more than likely that's a known perp. One thing about 1, I mean, we always used to say when we come and pick up a body was that, he had a lot of courage to go in somebody's house. Because more than likely, a lot of people are armed nowadays. So you run the risk of going in there. Exactly.
That's why I waited for
Exactly.
That's why nobody can come home.
You wait
And
till
what's
they
the
go.
consequences?
What is it?
Home
Wait till they
invasion.
go.
1 through 3.
Baby.
You can face up to 1 year, up to 20 years in prison.
Huh?
And at the bottom, I got this what?
Yeah, okay.
Death.
So you can come break into
You
my
can die.
house.
You can go in somebody's house and get
I
killed.
ain't gonna break into your crib.
In Detroit, we had a lot of
That's
homes.
the back here.
Hold on, brother.
Huh?
We had a lot of homes in Detroit that were separated.
Okay.
The home and then the garage was a little ways
Huh?
behind.
Trouble too.
When the home and the
I
garage
got
are
home invasion
attached,
2nd degree. That's why I was locked up with this one.
when you walk into that
But
home
it's
with an
home
attached
invasion second degree. I
garage,
was beating them up in places.
that can be considered home invasion 1 or 2.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yep. The curtilage of that home. If it's not attached, it's being a garage. But if it's attached, you run the risk of being taken out. The garage can be open, but if you don't have legal right to be in that garage, somebody can say, hey, that's being in my house. I fear for my life, and they can do what they need to do. Yes, sir.
I know she came up because some people was walking my yard like a couple months ago, got the cops involved, and then there's like, you could have shot at point blank.
Yeah, exactly. So, all this stuff is just to be mindful of what some of you young guys get into. You can see an open garage that's attached to a home and say, hey, I want to go in there and get this bike. He opens that door and see you in that garage and it's attached to that home. That's home invasion. He can take you out. I always say 12 than by 6. Everybody know what that means? I'd rather be judged by 12 than what? Carried by what? 6. People say that nowadays. So just be mindful of that. On top of getting shot, if you do live through it, then you still have the cost and the fines you have to do it on top of the time. So once again, the 4 P's. Process.
They're armed.
Patience. Positivity. And perseverance. Just to keep you alive, keep you out of trouble. Assault and battery. Assault is the actual threat of. A lot of people think the assault is the touching. The battery is the touching. So the assault is, I'm gonna threaten to beat you up. We have arrested on, which is a very minor offense, but you can't arrest on assault. If somebody threatens you and we think that the threat can be carried out soon or immediate, we can arrest before the actual battery takes place. So assault and battery, assault is a threat of, the battery is the physical contact. Hand, foot, I've seen arrests for spitting on, whatever thing, anything contact-wise. Consequences to this, if you cause injury, you'll be responsible for the medical bills. Like I said, if not you, it'll be your parents. While I was working in probation and parole, there was a guy, and he had been in the system for 20 years. And it started off as an aggravated assault. Then they knocked it down to a misdemeanor, A and B. And what had happened, when he had thought, I think he was 17 or 18 at the time, he had gotten in a fight. And what he did was bloody the guy's nose, so he got arrested. He went through the process. It was aggravated because there was injury, so they knocked it down to just an A and B. He had to do maybe, 10, 15 days in jail, went to court. He's put on probation. Just for a simple fight. I was 18. I met the guy when he was 38. And he was still dealing with that incident from that 20 years later. And the reason was because probation. I know marijuana is legal now, but back when he was coming up, it wasn't. So he would violate year after year. Dropping dirty, drinking, couldn't hold a job. One thing about probation is to hold you until you can pay your fines. So for that simple misdemeanor of just getting in a fight, he's still in the system 20 years later. And when I met him, they were going to just, grandfather him out. So after that, it was probably going to be 21 years because he had to do 6 months at my facility. But just for a simple fight. That's why the 4 Ps are so important that you process. He said, Mr. E, if I seen the guy today, I wouldn't know who he was. And I'm still doing time for him now. He had no effect in my life. We were out hanging out. We got into a fight. We had a little incident. I got arrested. I thought it'd be over. I thought at the most maybe 90 days of probation. 20 years later. One thing you got, when you get caught up in the system, it'll hold you. I used to tell young guys all the time, you take care of a lot of the system, people that work in the system, through your faults. You pay a lot of checks. You get in trouble. Because as long as they can, they're going to keep you in the system. So just be mindful of that. Aggravated was what he was charged with at first, but it was knocked down. It's great bodily harm. We used to call that GBH, just for the acronyms. But jail time up to 1 year and $1,000 fine, probation. It's going through the system. You get through it. But if the system holds you up, you can be in it for a lifetime. And for what? Strangulation. It was a fairly new charge when I started working in investigation. I think it's been around for maybe 10 years now. So strangulation, which is a felony. Just choking somebody to be unconscious. Can be with hands, cords, ropes. Domestic violence.
Yo.
Spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend. Back when it first came out, it wasn't dating, but now we incorporate dating and domestic violence. It's got here 1 in 5 females are experience domestic violence, and for males it's 1 in 10. One thing about domestic, it doesn't have to be physical. Mind games, so just be conscious of that. Up to a year in jail, probation, parole. One thing about domestic is if you get charged with it, and if you're looking for work, there's it can hold you up. You see NFL players, they get in trouble, basketball. So it's just something to just really consider. Even job-wise, when you look at job-wise, there's a lot of females in HR, and they see that on there. It's, one thing about when you're hiring somebody with stealing and violent crimes, they'll look at that and they'll maybe second guess and not give you that opportunity that you probably deserve after a while. So just be mindful of that as well. Once again, the 4 Ps. So with all that just processed, patience, positivity, perseverance. That's right. That's right. Get through it. Perseverance is standing on your own, getting through it, push through it, making the right decisions.
Stop talking. Shut up.
With a weapon, it's called what?
Hey, cut it out back here.
Felony assault, felonious assault.
Oh, you too.
Any other weapons you can name besides guns?
Knife.
Knife, anything else?
Bat. 2x4
Bat.
wrench.
2x4.
My rocket launcher.
Rocket launcher.
That's still a gun.
A
Okay.
brick?
You hit him with it.
What about a pillow? I've had a case with a pillow.
That's like more strangulation.
I've had a case with a high heel shoe.
I can mention
So anything that extension cord, shoelaces.
Oh, that bitch ass $5. Yeah,
Armed robbery. And carjacking.
Connor was some crack.
One thing about armed robbery. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. One thing about armed robbery is that it's the perception of. So if you walk up to somebody, you think that if they think you're armed, you can be charged with it. That's like when you walk in a bank. If you walk in a bank and don't show a gun, you're still gonna be charged with what? Robbery. So it doesn't matter. If a person that accuses you of robbery or armed robbery and they think you're armed, you can be charged with the crime. I'll tell you a story that happened, another one in Detroit. These are just stories that I've come across. Four young guys that wanted to rob a pizza delivery guy.
I did that too. I beat that nigga ass, bro. He tried to blow my shit up.
What happens is they ordered a pizza. Everybody's four of them. And one guy got the man. He was the youngest guy. He was 17. Ordered the pizza, so we're gonna rob the pizza guy. We're gonna get the pizza popping. We're gonna take his shades that he has. They ordered the pizza to a vacant house, a lot of vacant houses and property in Detroit. Pizza man comes to the house. The guy that has the gun goes out. The guy that I know was sitting in the back room. He was the youngest out of the four. Waiting for the pizza, you know, okay, yeah, we're gonna eat, we're gonna have a good time, this and that. What happened was he hears a gunshot. The guy that wound up shooting him shot him because the pizza guy was armed. Pizza guy had his own gun, so when he got robbed, he was like, well, hey, I'm gonna pull out mine. And he wound up shooting and killing the pizza guy. One thing about it, everybody found out who everybody was in the house, and everybody wound up doing 14 plus years. The actual shooter got an extra 2 because he had the pistol. But see, by them not processing and using the 4 Ps, that was the last thing on his mind. We didn't think that the pizza guy had a gun. Yeah, guilt by association. We weren't trying to kill the pizza guy. We just wanted to rob, eat, drink, and have a few dollars in our pocket. But them not processing and thinking about the whole scenario, they wound up doing 14. See, all 4 of them. The guy's gun owner done an extra 2. Right. And one of the guy that I knew, hold on y'all, the guy that I knew that done the time was convicted of second degree murder. He done his 14, he had 14 flat out. And he said, you know what, Ed? I done the time, but I never seen who I killed. He was convicted of second degree. He said, I never seen who I killed, but I had to do the time because I was there. Guilty by association. And that haunts him, you know, even when he got out. I never had any association. I never had any contact. You know, usually when you're dealing with a trigger man, that, you know, okay, I done that. I'm a part of it. I seen what happened. He said, I didn't see anything. I'm sitting in the back room, but we all got 14. So, I mean, that, you know, like I say, y'all, when you just hang out and you don't think about what's going on and what can happen, things can happen. The gun charge, I think now with the federal agencies that have taken over, it used to be 2 years. Now it's 5 for the first offense, and it can be 10 after that. So, Yeah, so just be mindful of that, you know. From GBH, grade bodily harm, 4 years, fine, probation, parole. And, one thing about armed robbery is it can be a life sentence. Hold on, I'm getting there. Homicide, everybody knows what a homicide is. It's
Murder.
deliberate. You plan to do something. Second degree is when you don't plan, it just happens. And that's why the guys off for the pizza robbery got second degree, because they didn't plan to kill the guy, but it just happened. Anything dealing with murder is if you're convicted of first degree, is life in prison. Felony murder, if you commit a crime and during the process of that crime, you wind up killing somebody. All that's life. Anybody know who that is?
Hernandez.
Hernandez. Left side, Super Bowl champ, great team. Right side, couldn't shake the streets.
Ooh, did he kill himself in prison?
Then he killed himself in the joint. So, that's what happens when you make bad decisions. We're not on that level, but see, even the people that have it, you know, you have to let stuff go. You have to process. You have to be patient. You know, if he processed everything that he was going through, let's say, well, man, I'm in the lead. I'm making $1 million+ dollars. These are my homeboys over here, so-called, because not once, did anybody see the trial?
Yeah, I saw the
Not once did I see a homeboy go to the trial.
It was this girl that only went.
Girl, that's it. And a lot of y'all don't understand that. And we're talking about little gang stuff. But not one of his so-called homeboys that he was hanging with at the time showed up to his court dates. It didn't matter after that. A lot of guys I deal with on the street, they would say, nah, he might be my homeboy on the street, but once he get locked up, he on his own. And that's real. Stand your ground. Did y'all know we have stand your ground in Michigan? Stand your ground. And what that means, I don't have to retreat. I'm an older guy. Stand up, big fella. Yeah. Stand up. I'm a little guy. I see you when you came in, so look at this size difference. Come over here. I'm an old man.
You talk for no reason.
But
For
still,
no reason.
now, if he wasn't threatening me, you know, still, like I told you earlier, 12 and by 6, I might run that option and just say, hey, I'm not going to fight him. I'll let the court of law see his size and his height, and we'll deal with it in court. I fear for my life. I'm scared. You see what I'm saying? Oh, you guys, thank you. But still, understand that. You know, we see a lot of, you know, some of you young cats robbing somebody older, you know. And there's legitimate reasons for some of us to carry a pistol. So you just be mindful of that. You know, you might want to rob somebody or get into something like that, but Michigan is staying your ground, so be conscious. If you're out here in the street and you think something's going to happen. The castle doctrine, that's the home invasion. I don't have to run and hide in my house. You come in my house, you go into that window, you know, I might say a few words, but you still coming. Some people might not say nothing. You come on in here. Come on in this house. Right. One thing about when you deal with young folks and your so-called friendship, sometimes people want to get in your house just to see what you got. A lot of times home invasions happen either through somebody you know or acquainted. Let's say if you got a new Nintendo in your house, you post it. Got some new Jordans in the house. You post it. Let one of your boys know. Even if it ain't your homeboy or homegirl, they might tell somebody else. And then that acquaintance coming in your house. I know you're in school now. I know your parents are at work. So now let me come in your house and see what you got. You know, I don't want y'all to be paranoid and not tell, you know, and share this and that. But just be mindful who you deal with. A lot of crimes happen through known purpose. It's very rare that a crime happens from somebody you don't know. So while we sitting in here thinking we cool and tight, this and that, be mindful. Somebody might be plotting to get you. Yes, sir.
Man, that's so because my dad went home one day.
Hold on, I got somebody talking there.
My dad went home one day, was
Right.
sick from work, walked in and found my mom laying on the couch. She
Found
broke
what?
in her. My mom broke in her house and found her laying on the couch. Was gonna shoot her, but gave her an option of walking out.
Yeah, some people don't get that out.
She just broke in, just stole the shit, and she broke in and sat on the couch, fell asleep.
Right.
And
So, I mean, it happens. Be mindful. Like I said, a lot of crimes that happen to be somebody you know. A duty to retrieve. There's no duty. It's up to you. It's optional. If I legally possess my weapon, it's up to me to retrieve. If I don't feel I have a retreat and don't want to retreat, I don't have to. I can stand my ground and defend myself. So what I just say, I have you stand your ground, you know, with Trayvon back in the day in Florida, so, you know, it's real. 4 P's here: process, patience, perseverance, positivity, perseverance. So just remember the 4 P's here. Another thing I wanted to say about robbery is that I had a guy I met, when you work the streets, you meet a lot of people and deal with a lot of folks. He done the smash and grab at the jewelry store. He go in, boom, west side of Detroit. Go in, steal the jewelry, snatch it up, he's gone. And like I tell y'all, he didn't process the after effects. He got all this jewelry, and I said, I'm gonna sell it. He got some very expensive stuff. But the problem was that if you sell something on the streets, if I show you this, hey, it's $1,000 watch. But what's gonna happen? You only gonna sell it for about $20 on the street because I don't know it's real. I'm not a jeweler. So you got all this jewelry. He said, man, I had all this jewelry, but could sell it for peanuts on the street because nobody thought it was real. He said, the reason I got caught was because I had to tell people after a while that this was a jewelry from the Heights. And once he done that, he got caught up. Another guy's around in Grand Rapids, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. They smashed a jewelry store, go down to Georgia. Think they can sell the same thing. They couldn't get it off. I don't know it's real. Why might I spend $1,000 for something on the street? I can spend $20 just because it looks real. Down in Georgia, they had to ship them back. They wound up getting caught. So just be mindful of that. It's not going to be as easy as you think. Nobody's going to buy nothing from you like that. Same stuff that you buy at the gas station, the same stuff that looks like real. What was that? Huh? What? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So just be mindful of that. CSC, there's 1 through 4. 1 and 3 is actual penetration through force. You'll be up to life in prison, have to register as a sex offender. 2 and 4 is actual touching. You go around here touching, and private parts, you can be charged as well. Fondling, touching, filling. When you have to register, even at this age, when you don't think and process, if you have to register, it can be for a lifetime. Even if, I'll talk about consent in a minute, but still, if you have to register, it can be a lifetime. You can be saying, well, I was 16 and something happened, and you hear it all the time, but still, be mindful of that. Romeo and Juliet. One thing about females, let's say if a girl 15, she consents. Okay, things happen, and okay, I'm ready to do, and stuff is gonna take place. One thing when you're 15 and under, females don't understand it. They don't own their bodies. They can't consent. They can't consent. 15 and under. Now when you become 16, still you can be charged. But 15 and under, they don't have consent. So if an adult finds out, or guardian or parent finds out, they can pursue charges. But a lot of guys don't understand she was willing. And she'll say she was willing. But still, per the system, 15 and under, she can't say yes. So understand that. You can get in trouble by her saying yes and you thinking she's, consent and all that. But she can't. 16, if y'all have an age difference with Romeo and Juliet, I think it's 3 years. You can't be 3 years older. But still, just be mindful of that. Here's a female in Chicago that was gang raped and they put it on YouTube. Everybody got charged. Everybody's doing juvenile time now, so when the time comes, juveniles, is something, but,
I'm gonna go laugh at this.
when the time comes, they graduate to the big house. I think all of them were at least 15 to 20 years, so, you know, a lot of stuff. When Facebook and Instagram first hit the scene, I mean, we're catching people right and left. Everybody wanted to put stuff on there. All we had to do, you know, find your Facebook account, find your Instagram account, Twitter account, because you're going to talk. Once you do that, all we got to do is find it. So just be mindful what you put out here. Sexual assault, how the charges can affect their life. Even for football players at Vanderbilt, great student athletes, decide one day they get a girl drunk and they gang rape. You know. I think he was a ringleader, so he got the most time. So just not processing. You know, just saying, hey, what is this about? You know, young athletes and, you know, probably all of them had girlfriends and could date whoever they wanted, but just thought it was cool and funny and, you know, now look at, they're all doing time now. The consequences, they were all kicked off the team, banned from campus, registered sex offenders, will spend their young adult life in prison. I think either him or him had the potential of going to the NFL. So, you know, that's gone. Just for one instant of just, you know, not thinking and processing. Now they're all doing 17, 15, 15, and 15. I think he got, everybody else played, he took it to trial and got 22. Yep, all the prison sentences there.
They still in there.
Yeah, I think this happened maybe 5 years ago. Process patience. Once again, if they would have thought about this, you know, she was unconscious or what have you, but still, for what? For one thing? For one night? Now you throw your life away? Perseverance, positivity, patience, process. Sexting. Sharing photos, electronics, by text. Between teens can be prosecuted under child pornography. Sending new photos. Everybody know what texting is.
Yeah, true.
Here's some of the consequences. You know, dating child porn, having your own pictures, making your own pictures, sending them out. I mean, you can look at some time for that. They get out and get into the wrong hands. Distributing, sending somebody a forwarding a text message, that can be considered distributing. Once again, the time there, 7 years. And if you're of age, you can be registered as a sex offender. Possessing it, just having it in your phone, of a minor, you can be charged. You know, guy, girl underage, in and out sex pics, they get in the wrong hands. One thing about, you know, young people is, I deleted that, I got rid of that. But once they go on your phone and decode it and all that, everything comes back. So be mindful of that as well. And once again, the 4 P's. I try to hit home with this, but I want you guys to understand. And like I said, this is a pledge. You know, I know we're going through some things now in life, but still, if you use this template, I mean, it can help you out a whole lot. Just the process, the patience, the positivity, the perseverance. Talk a little bit about bullying. One thing I noticed about bullies is they try to reflect and they talk about other people because they have their own issues. Bullying is, you know, the physical, the embarrassing, using popularity. Some of the bullying. The 4 types of bullying is verbal, social, physical, and cyber. There's a new crime with cyberbullying. So if you threaten somebody online with the intent that you can carry it out, the police can come get you. You know, one thing also at the schools, when you put out bomb threats and stuff like that, once they figure out who you are, they're coming to get you. So one thing about bullying online, like I said, if they think that it's feasible and that you can carry it out, they can come get you to hopefully stop anything from happening. One thing about bullying happens everywhere. Home, school, buses, internet, bullying is all over. More than 1 in 5 students will be bullied this year. So 1 out of every 5, so one of y'all in this group.
I get bullied.
Eric.
Thing is, it happens everywhere. Some of the effects of bullying, if you have a friend or something that's going, you know, they had good grades or something, now they have poor grades, poor health, feeling suicidal, start turning to drugs and alcohol, low self-esteem. So if you see somebody that you care about and see signs, then, you know, ask questions or possibly get that person some help. One thing about the most severe bullying is what's the last word there? Suicide. So like I said, if you know somebody that's having some issues, get them the help they need. I've got here for every suicide, there's 25 attempts. Every year, there's 44,193 Americans that die by suicide. And suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S. So just some stats I found here. Warning signs, talking about suicide, seeking lethal means, you know, pills, drugs, person with no hope in the future. These are just some of the signs: saying goodbye, getting orders and affairs in order, destructive behavior. Here's some of the resources if you need for suicide. So they're online. You know, I just wanted to post them up here. So like I said, if you know somebody that's going through something, just, you know, help them out. Make the phone call. Even for yourself. If you don't feel that you can talk to somebody, there's always a hotline that you can call and say, hey, I'm going through this. You know, a lot of things that young folks don't understand is that most of the stuff you've been through, somebody else has been through. You know, you're not inventing anything different than nobody else. Everybody's been through pretty much what you've been through. Mental illness. These are some of the signs or symptoms of mental illness. Feeling sad, depressed, withdrawal from friends, drug use, anger, violence. Those are just some of the signs here. Even with that, there's a hotline you can call if you have some mental health issues. Anybody know who that is? Titus Young. He used to play for the Lions. I got up top, he refused to understand and process that he had an issue. This Titus Young is his mugshot here. Didn't get the help he needed. Once again, another NFL player, all the resources in the world. Just say, hey, I accept what I need. Maybe I need some medication. Maybe I need some counseling. He didn't want to get it. So he only lasted maybe three years in the league. Great rising, upcoming star for the Lions. Didn't get the help, so that's his mugshot now. This guy here. Anybody watch Super Bowl? Yeah. He accepted him. Now he's a Super Bowl champion. Here when he was at LSU, had troubles with drugs, mental health issues, got kicked off the team. But I would say he processed the 4 P's and say, hey, you know, let me process this. Let me be paid. Let me think this out. Let me get back, get the help that I need. He played for Arizona at first, but now he's a Super Bowl champion because he got the things that he needed to be successful. And he expresses, he's a spokesperson for mental health. So he does, and he talks about some of the issues he's been through. Once again, the 4 P's: process, patience, positivity, perseverance.
We now know that the abuse of opioids has become an epidemic in our country. And we sat down with 3 teens with sports and drink led to dangerous addictions. For John Haskell, football meant everything.
I loved it. I put in 110%.
The game provided life lessons on and off the field for Spencer Copley.
It instilled a lot of skills of like brotherhood, what it means to be a teammate.
And Jess Jennings joined her first swim team at 6 years old. I love swimming. It's the most fun I've ever had on a team in my life. All student athletes, now 18, who went from chasing a dream to chasing a high.
My deal at the time, I loved the idea of left on heroin. I was nervous to go to practice because I didn't want to let my coaches see.
I was kind of at a point where I just wanted to get high, like see how high exactly I could get. Their love of the game drove him to play hard. At just 15, John had gotten his 4th concussion.
And when I woke up the next morning, I was kind of not hearing too well, and things were kind of a little blurry. My head was throbbing, and it was really scared. So my mom took me to the doctor.
Do you remember the conversation that you had with the doctor?
I had a CT scan, he asked me some questions, he looked in my ears, checked my hearing, checked my eyes, and next thing I know, I can see this again. Right now.
Vicodin, a highly addictive opioid painkiller, like the one Spencer was prescribed.
I was prescribed Percocet. I got hit really hard when I was wearing the football, and my back was just killing me.
The Percocet did more than just block Spencer's pain.
I liked the feeling that it gave me, not for the relief of the pain, for the mental effects that it brought to me.
When athletes were soon late, how many prescriptions were written for you?
One prescription was free refills.
When that ran out, what happened?
I had to find a dealer that was going to sell them to me.
Jess was also prescribed Vicodin after shoulder surgery. She said she had used it a few times before, but never in this amount. Once the prescription ran out, she started stealing from her grandmother's medicine cabinet.
I would just take them and replace them with ibuprofen, and she wouldn't even notice.
Jess, John, and Spencer are not alone. In a CDC survey published this year, 1 in 6 students said they had taken prescription painkillers without a prescription.
It's supposed to be for pain relief. Unfortunately, we see all too often the developing brain becoming seduced by this feeling, the release of dopamine in the brain, the feel-good center of the brain.
John was spending upwards of $200 a day on the pills. His parents caught him stealing money.
I think that's what
I
made me
said about
realize
no perk.
I don't have this unlimited funds. I've got to start finding what I can get high on that's cheap.
The solution? Heroin, a fraction of the price of a prescription painkiller. The son, who had never used drugs before his football injury, was now a full-blown heroin addict.
How did you realize you needed to get help?
There was nothing else really for me. I was 16 years old using heroin. I was pretty much over my life. I was depressed. I wanted to die.
That's when his dad took him to Newport Academy in California, a teen treatment center where Jess and Spencer were also getting help after being off product.
I took roughly 45 pills of Vicodin, and I blacked out, and my mom called 911.
Dr. Harold Cheminsky says both doctors and parents need to probe when it comes to pain treatment.
So as a parent, you need to take a more advocating role and ask your provider, why are they going this route? Why is it an automatically an opioid, painkiller? The provider needs to ask questions like, is there a family history of addiction?
But John's parents had no idea there was a family history of addiction. They had adopted John when he was a baby.
But no one had what these drugs do.
They say the doctor never warned them about the addictive nature of the drug.
You jump to the conclusion, hey, this is what the doctor prescribed, this is what we're going to take.
Jamison Monroe, founder of Newport Academy, has seen dozens of teens go from athlete to addict with one prescription.
At that age, to introduce such a powerful prescription narcotic drug to their system is only going to have damaging effects. And we know that the younger someone starts using drugs, the more likely they are to develop an addiction.
John knows that one prescription changed his life.
I really was really angry that this had to happen to me. This kind of manifested itself through something that I loved so much and was really everything to me. And through that, I got this addiction.
These teens are now sober and living a full life.
Do you feel like, in some ways, you're the lucky one?
I would say if we stick to this path and keep doing what we continue to do what we're doing, we're definitely the lucky ones.
I couldn't ask for anything more. I'm so grateful for where I am today.
I'm happy. I've got good relationships. I have trust with my family. My parents trust me today. It's good. It's really good.
John is 2 years sober and wants to be a drug counselor. Jess still swims every day and is also 2 years sober. And Spencer is 6 months sober. But really, for parents,
But yeah, just be mindful, if you're going through some things, to get help, reach out. Marijuana is legal when you become of age. The one thing about being a youngster is that your mind still hasn't developed. So if you're into drugs, and you know, hopefully not, that, you know, you let your mind develop and grow, you know. You know, here's Tiger Woods here before and after. Tiger's bounced back, so he's doing a, you know,
You don't need to
back,
look at it.
winning again and doing
No
very well,
homo,
so.
don't say that.
Steroids for some of the athletes. I kind of geared it towards sports and I'll be playing back in the day. One thing about car accident. I remember I said I went to a motorcycle accident. It was on Gratiot in '94, and you see a body here, you see a bike a little ways down, and you see the helmet further down. And when you get to the helmet, the head was still in it. So, you know, just being reckless, intoxicated, and on a motorcycle. So, just be mindful. There's a lot of stuff out there. Uber, family, you know, make a call once you become of age. JUUL. My acronym for JUUL is Juveniles Untimely Unhealthy Lungs. There's 2,500 cases of lung damage. Just recently, a 16-year-old had a double lung transplant. And they're linked to 54 deaths. So I don't know what the but on the bottom, I gotta say, do your research. You know, understand that if by you smoking or vaping or whatever, what have you, they say it's equivalent to smoking 20 cigarettes at a time. I don't think the CDC even knows exactly what's in the actual vape. They're still trying to figure out what's actually in the actual the vaping, the liquids that are in there. So, you know, do your research. We had banned it for a while, or I don't know if it's back, but
it's back, but they've raised the age from 18 to 21.
Yeah, 18 to 21. And one thing about it, black market, you don't know what they're putting in there. I want you to buy my product on the street, so I'm gonna get you every way I can to get addicted to what I'm selling. Not what the government would or what they regulate, but I want you to buy what I'm selling. And I want you to come back. That's with marijuana too. Now that the government's in it and trying to regulate it, okay, they're gonna make sure whatever is legal and all that. But I want you to still come to me. So I'm gonna put whatever I can in that marijuana or in that drug or in that vape or whatever to get you to come back. It's the best stuff on the market. One thing about getting high, and I know through family, you'll never get that same high again from the first time you try it. Back in my day when I was younger, you call it chasing. You're gonna chase it forever until you realize that it's not gonna happen again. Until you wanna get the help to get over with. But do your research. Here's a healthy lung. And after I think that was maybe 7 years, 6 or 7 years, this is what his lung looked like. So he had to get a double lung transplant. That's a short amount of time versus somebody that smoked cigarettes for 40, 50 years. For a young guy, that's a 40, 50-year-old lung right there, smoking that lung. So just be mindful of that. Trying to be cool and fit in and this and that, but actually you don't know what you're smoking, so just look into that. One thing about drugs and alcohol, there's no excuse in the court of law. You can say, hey judge, I was high, I was on this, I was on everything, and you know, it just happened. I don't know, I wasn't thinking, I don't know what happened. It doesn't work in the court of law. You still get charged for that crime. Somebody drunk driving, they still get charged with drunk driving. They kill somebody and charge with vehicular homicide, so it doesn't matter. So be mindful of that. There's no excuse. Not in the system. Once again, the 4 P's: process, patience, positivity, perseverance. Other youth offenses, curfew violation, they kind of stipulate curfew around 4th of July or something that's going on, maybe a Halloween or something like that. Fleeing and looting, truancy, gang activity. Like I said earlier, dealing with gangs, I worked gang squad for a little while in Detroit as well. And like I said, I've never seen a gang member come to a court date if you get in trouble. I've never seen them come to the penitentiary and put something on your commissary. Man. You know, one thing about that, we had a guy, he had 7 Mile and Grinnell on his arm. 7 Mile and Grinnell is vacant land now. So here you claiming a set that where it's broken down houses, it's crumbling homes, But back when you were there doing something, you know, you thought it was a part of your life. Now it means nothing. When I was coming up, we had the Wealthy Street Boys. Wealthy Street.
That's my gang.
Right. But Wealthy is not nothing like it used to be. People that don't look like you on Wealthy now. When we were coming up, it was us. Nowadays, no. So why you want to claim a set when you have nothing in common with that set? Yeah. So I just, you know, when you think about that, gangs and this and that, we used to call them, back in Detroit, we call you blockheads. Because it really wasn't a gang, it was just blocks. You belong to this block, you belong to that block, so we just call you blockhead. Van Dyke blockhead, Gratiot blockhead, what else? McClellan, call you blockheads. We catch one, we turn on everybody. Everybody want to talk. So just be mindful of that. It's only colors deep. Outside the colors, there's no affiliation. None. So it's a waste of your time. Met a guy that was in a gang out, but when he went to prison, he couldn't even identify with that gang. He had the marks on him. Because the gang on the outside, on the inside, most of them were gay. So now he has to affiliate with being a part of this so-called gay group. Tough as nails on the street, getting a penitentiary don't mean nothing. Some guys go out, start out here as one affiliate, but when they get in the actual system, they have to join something else. And there's a consequence to that. And most of y'all say, this is my box here. So if Bubba don't want you to act or do nothing in that box, you ain't gonna do nothing. There's a TV in that box, and we don't play that. And you can't turn it, you can't turn it. Bubba don't want you to look at what he watching, you better not look at it. Because once you get in this box, there's nowhere to run. All you can do is scream for your life. You can't protect yourself. One thing about prison, come on, see, even that,
Nasty ass nigga, bro. I swear
now
to
Bubba
God.
wouldn't allow that, he'd be in trouble. One thing about being out here, you can do stuff like that.
Well, that was not me.
Steve.
So just keep that in mind. Here's some of the tips to stay positive. You know, when you interact with the police, just stay cool, calm, collective.
That's what got my more time.
One thing about that,
They
hold on,
told
y'all,
me
hold
that
on.
because I didn't act scared when I got arrested. They said they.
All I
they
got
had
is a few
time.
more slides here.
That's such bullshit.
One thing about police, we're human too. When I was on the job, you know, you get nervous, we get nervous. It's a natural reaction.
I swear, man, we did nothing back here. David, why you farting?
Yes, sir. Hold on, I got a question.
So I was.
But that was not me, bro. You know damn well that was
I was
me.
arrested. I was cool, calm, and nervous. But because I didn't seem scared or like crying or anything, they added more time. Because they said I just like it seemed like I didn't care. It seemed like I showed no emotion or anything.
But just don't
Well,
talk to
maybe at
them at
that,
all.
I mean, maybe in the court of law, but at that scene, it's good to stay calm. For us, you know, it wouldn't have been an issue as far as your demeanor. In the court of law, I mean, if you don't show remorse, then yeah. I mean, if you're not
Yeah, they hit
remorseful,
you
not
with
crying,
time.
Shot.
Don't
I
show no
stayed
remorse.
calm. I just
Yeah,
wanted a shot.
you know, you never know what a person is thinking. One thing about that is have a good attitude. There'll be guys that's being clowns and doing donuts on the street, just say, hey, officer, I apologize, I'm sorry.
That was me.
I was being silly. But if you meet us with an attitude, more likely we can have that attitude back. Even though a lot of them should be professional. Like I say, some of them are human. I don't like what's going on that we see in the streets now when it deals with police. But sometimes you guys, your demeanor is a result of the actual what happened. So you have to be is understanding and have a good attitude. So just have a good attitude. Don't argue during the investigation. It's not gonna do you any good. A lot of guys don't exercise their right to remain silent. A lot of guys want to talk. If you're faced with something, exercise your rights. I used to tell that guys that all the time. Don't say nothing. Anything you say is gonna be used against you. Back before I retired, we didn't have a whole lot of cars with cameras. Now every car you get in has got a camera and a mic. So nowadays, hey, exercise your rights. Everybody heard of the prisoner pipeline to prison?
Eggs and all.
One thing about that, I doing an investigation, I've done a lot of interrogations. A lot of interrogations. Right through main side, and he said can't use it against you. All that. When we do that, we develop what's called a pedigree. So we ask you certain questions. You know, we want to get your height. You know, we want to get your address. How many people in your family? We want to understand who you are. When I get the education, most of the people that I dealt with when I got the education was 9th and 10th grade. 9th and 10th grade. It was very rare that I had a guy or female that was a graduate. It was even more rare that I had a college educated person. So keep that in mind while you're in school. 10th grade. Most of the criminals I dealt with, 10th grade. Most of the people I interrogated, 10th grade, 9th grade. So if you beat that and do graduate, and just understand to let people know that you can't get through and you can't make it. So just keep that in mind. And, you know, just don't do dumb stuff. A lot of times we be on the streets, and you got youngsters out here doing knucklehead stuff to draw attention to themselves, even in the classroom, doing extra. And you're mad when we wind up pulling you over. And you get mad when the teacher exposes you. Stop doing knucklehead stuff. Where's this going to get me? It's going to give me unwanted attention. Now I'm a target. Every time I'm out here, you know, police work in a certain area. So once they get used to that area and they see you again, even if you're not affiliated with the actual crime, where they coming? They come to holler at you first. What you know about this? Where were you at this time? Where were you at this date? So when you do knucklehead stuff, I mean, you just draw attention to yourself. So be mindful of that as well. And just do the right thing. Snitching. These are my acronym for snitching.
Sorry, nigga, I'm trying to come home.
One thing about snitching is, as far as what it does to a neighborhood. There are certain neighborhoods you don't go in because what? They're going to do what? I'm talking about the good neighborhoods. In good neighborhoods, they're not even called snitching. You go in a good neighborhood, you're not going to sit there and do no dirt because people are going to talk. Snitching only applies to the hood. You go to one of these rich neighborhoods, like I said, it doesn't apply. These are just people that are concerned about their neighborhoods. We put the snitch label on that. But like I said, I don't deal with the hardest criminals, and everybody talks. You get a sentence reduced, get an understanding, get a break here and there. Oh yeah, you're gonna talk. Everybody in there watch crime stories. So somebody can, you know, get off or whatever, they're gonna talk. But one thing about snitching to a community, first of all, it's not safe. That's the essence. Second, it's not nurturing. You don't get to nurture. You know, if you don't have a community bond, if you're not here to help your community, no infrastructure. Nobody's going to want to do business in the hood. That's why we struggle now. You come to the hood and you see stuff that is broken down, nothing new. I mean, it's starting to come around, but for the most part, people that want to invest, they're like, well, I mean, this is not a strong neighborhood. People are not working together. It's not thriving. Like I said, nobody's going to want to do business. There's no community. Any of y'all know your neighbors?
Good.
Huh?
It'd be a best.
That's good. Like I said, at the last one, there's no hope. That's what snitching is. That's what it does to a community. But like I said, once you get caught up, if you're caught up in the process, everybody's got something to say. I ain't met nobody. And I dealt with some of the hardest criminals. They all got something to say. Whether it's credible, we'll do the research and find that out. But more than likely, it has something to do with something and they want to talk about it. Even in the penitentiary. You go in there, you talk to guys, they want to tell. Hey, let me holler at you. They got something to say. Everybody know Brady. That's my boy Tommy. Yeah, Tommy's a GOAT. Greatest of all time. And here he's just saying, hey, you know, you have choices. It's up to you to decide on what you choose. But at the end of the day, the choice you make is what you have to live with. Back when I was a youngster, famous basketball coach for UCLA. Let's say character will get you there, or your ability will get you there. But even with Aaron Hernandez, his ability got him to where he needed to be. But his character carried him back where he wound up killing himself. He couldn't shake the streets. The ability and talent to get you there. It's one thing that amazes me. While you're here to get a free education, when I used to go in the penitentiary, people would really develop their talents, really find out who they were, but couldn't get out here to express it. Where they have to go to school, and once they went, they really start liking school. People that go to prison, they get a bachelor's, they get a master's, they get a PhD, because they have to. It gives them something to do. But once they get it, they can't use it. So it always amazes me why you're here and have it free now, use it. Because once you come here, you ain't gonna have no choice. You're gonna want to get an education. But then you can't do nothing with it until you get out. We used to do counseling sessions. I ran a 12-step in Macomb over on the east side of the state. Guys would say, man, I'm doing this. You know, even instruments. Guys in there learning how to play the guitar, learning how to play the piano, learning how to, you know, everything. Eating right, nutrition, everything about everything. Some big boys in the penitentiary. But it took them to get there when they could have been doing it while they were free out here. Yes, sir.
My boy Aaron wants to know, can you get an education in prison?
Yeah, that's when you can get a bachelor's, you can get a master's. Yeah, you can get an education.
Question is done.
That was so fucking stupid.
Barbecue. Yeah. But why not use it out here? Why not get it out here? So you can apply it. Everybody got jail scholars in the joint. Everybody's smart. Everybody's going to the law library trying to figure out their case. Everybody does that. When you can pick up a book and learn right here before you even go there. Hopefully you don't, but if you do, trust me, you're going to do it there. Just to pass time, or you're going to sit in your cell all day. So just be mindful of that. It says you can avoid reality, but you can't avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. And all that means is that if you choose to do nothing, if you don't do nothing, what's the result? You get what? You get nothing. That's the consequence. Let's say you don't want to do nothing, don't want to work, don't want to apply yourself, don't want to study, you get nothing out of it. I equate school to your actual job. Now, how many of you got parents that work? They have a job. They get up in the morning, they go to work, right?
Yeah.
They produce something at their job. That's like for you here. You get up and you come to school, you produce something here, you learn something here. But you know where your money is?
Since when did we learn here?
You know where your money is right here.
Real though.
So when you get up and come to work here, if you don't put nothing up here, you ain't made no money.
Man.
All school does is apply you to say, hey, I can get up and go to work. That's what school does. I can get up, go to work, and I can achieve something. I can learn something. So every day, no matter what you do, get up and make your money. Get up and make your money. It's your money right here. If you don't do nothing out here, you ain't gonna do nothing in the street. There's a place for you out in the street. So just keep that in mind. If you choose to do nothing or get nothing out of life, that's what's gonna be the result. Nothing equals nothing. So that's the consequence. Here's some of the stats. Like I said earlier, most of us kill people that look like us. When you black on black, brown on brown, white on white, most. And like I said earlier, most of the crimes that are committed are by somebody you know. For us to solve crimes is harder when we don't know if it's just a random crime. But for most of us, somebody knows something. Somebody's appointed in some kind of way. So be mindful of that. 13%. That's black folks. We only make up 13% of the population, but prison-wise, we're half. Black and brown. We're half of the people that are in penitentiary now.
But you can't fuck, you can't, yeah, you gotta put your iCloud in there, but you can't put that in. You ask you, do you want to merge?
These are some of the prison cells that
push merge.
That I took.
Push merge.
Average jail cell. This is it. They got the open box here. That is so you can't stuff anything. They make them visible.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thanks.
So you can see what's in the back of them. They might use flat screens now, but the requirement is 13 inch. 13 inch TV is the max. So like I said earlier, if you don't want you to watch this TV, you can't. If you want to be a mess, some of the guys that are in the cells are going through heroin withdrawals, they just are a mess. They put you in a cell with that, what you gonna do? You gotta deal with it. Solitary confinement, this is the old solitary. You can't even open your arms up. Solitary now might be a little bigger than this. Everything is cement, concrete. Juvenile Georgia was the same way. Beds, everything. Yeah, be claustrophobic. Imagine that for 30 days, no communication, barely any light. So even if you cut up in the penitentiary, there's a place for you. And they talk about rehabilitation. I don't think that'll rehabilitate anybody. Makes it worse. Everybody come home and glorify in the hood, guys that come home from prison. This is what they face daily. One thing about guys that I say sometimes in penitentiary is some guys, and they'll tell you themselves, I can't cope in the real world. So I go out there and commit a crime, so I go back to prison. I can't get a job well enough to take care of my family.
With this, man.
I got family that don't want to be bothered with me. I don't got old, so the best place for me to go is back to the penitentiary. They can't cope in the real world. And that's understandable. One thing about prison is structure. We picked up a guy, we took him out of prison, we took him to court, then we wanted to take him back to the county jail. He begged us to take him back to prison. Take me back to prison, man. Take me, I want to go to the county. He said the county is a mess, there's no structure. He'd rather go back to prison. I met a guy that got out of prison. He said, Mr. I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. And I'm thinking he's just kind of anxious. He said, I couldn't sleep, man, for 2 weeks. He said, the reason I couldn't sleep was too quiet. Penitentiary is always noise. There's always somebody getting raped. There's always somebody singing. There's always something going on. There's a lot of noise. So when he came home, he was paranoid. Stuff we take for granted in here. We sleep every day. We cut on the TV, cut it off. It's quiet. If you don't want noise, you don't have noise. Penitentiary, you ain't got that option. This is what you call it. Yes. So just be mindful of that. And if you wind up going, hopefully not, you'll see everything I'm telling you is the truth. You can't sleep. You get out, it's too quiet. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, take care.